In the bustling city of Seoul, Suk-woo, a workaholic fund manager, struggles to balance his demanding career with his role as a father. His young daughter, Suin, is deeply unhappy due to his constant absence and yearns to visit her mother in Busan. In an effort to make amends, he reluctantly agrees to accompany her on the high-speed KTX train bound for Busan the following morning. As dawn breaks, a sense of unease looms over the city. Reports of violent riots and unexplained aggression begin to surface. But Suk-woo, too preoccupied with his work, fails to pay them any heed. Meanwhile, at a quarantined biotech facility, a containment breach allows a deadly virus to escape, infecting several individuals. Among them is a frantic young woman who manages to slip onto the KTX train just moments before its departure. As the train speeds away from the station, passengers settle into their seats, unaware of the horror that is about to unfold. Suk-woo and Suin take their places among a diverse group of travelers, including a tough but good-hearted man named Sang-hwa and his pregnant wife, Song Kyung. Also on board are a high school baseball team, a self-centered CEO named Young-suk, and an elderly pair of sisters. As the journey progresses, the infected woman, hidden in one of the train's compartments, begins to convulse violently. Within moments, she undergoes a gruesome transformation, her veins blackening and her eyes clouding over with a milky white hue. A crew member who attempts to assist her is immediately attacked and bitten. The infection spreads at an alarming rate as the victims, overtaken by a mindless rage, lash out at anyone in their path. Panic erupts as passengers flee from the escalating carnage. Those bitten turn within seconds, adding to the growing horde. The train's carriages become battlegrounds, with survivors desperately seeking refuge. Suk-woo, initially driven by self-preservation, tries to secure a safe place for Suin, but Sang-hwa, displaying remarkable courage, takes charge, fighting off the infected with sheer strength. With each passing moment, the train becomes more dangerous. Passengers scramble to separate themselves from the infected by barricading doors and moving to safer compartments. The once peaceful journey has turned into a terrifying nightmare, and survival becomes the only priority. As chaos engulfs the train, Suk-woo, Suin, Sang-hwa, and Song Kang find themselves in a desperate fight for survival. Along with a few others, they manage to reach a safer compartment. But many passengers are still trapped elsewhere, including a group of high school students led by Young-guk and the elderly sisters. The train conductor, still in control of the speeding locomotive, tries to contact the authorities, but all he receives are fragmented, distressing reports of a nationwide outbreak. Meanwhile, an announcement is made that the train will make a stop at the city of Daejeon, where military forces are supposedly waiting to secure the passengers. Hope briefly flickers among the survivors, but as they disembark at the station, they are met with a horrifying sight: an army of infected soldiers, their bodies twitching unnaturally as they lunge forward in a violent frenzy. A desperate retreat ensues, and many passengers are overwhelmed and turned. Suk-woo, Suin, Sang-hwa, Song Kyung, and a few others barely make it back onto the train, but their group is now separated across different compartments. Suk-woo, Sang-hwa, and Young-guk find themselves in a carriage far from their loved ones, who are trapped in one of the forward sections. With no other choice, they prepare to fight their way through multiple zombie-infested cars to reach them. What follows is a harrowing, grueling battle. Using sheer force, strategy, and determination, they push through each compartment. Sang-hwa, in particular, proves to be a powerhouse, using his bare hands to fend off the infected. Young-guk, armed with a baseball bat, displays unwavering courage, while Suk-woo, though initially reluctant, begins to shed his selfish instincts and fights with newfound resolve. After enduring a relentless series of attacks, they finally reach the compartment where Suin and Song Kyung are waiting. However, their struggle is far from over. In another part of the train, an entirely different threat emerges, not from the infected, but from their fellow survivors. A group of uninfected passengers, led by the ruthless and selfish Young-suk, has taken control of a car and refuses to let anyone else in, fearing contamination. Suk-woo and his companions plead for entry, but the paranoid passengers, unwilling to take any risks, demand that they stay out. The elderly sisters, witnessing the cruelty of their fellow humans, are heartbroken. One of them, overwhelmed with despair and anger, opens the barricade, allowing the infected to flood in and decimate the selfish passengers who refuse to help. As the train speeds toward Busan, the dwindling survivors realize that their ordeal is far from over. With most of the passengers either dead or turned, only a handful of survivors remain. The train barrels toward Busan, but the situation grows more dire by the second. Suk-woo, Suin, Song-kang, and Yongguk find a temporary safe haven in one of the compartments, but the loss of their fellow passengers weighs heavily on them. Sang-hwa, who had bravely held back the infected earlier, sacrificed himself to protect his pregnant wife, and his absence is deeply felt. Meanwhile, the train's conductor receives an emergency transmission stating that Busan remains a safe zone, protected by military forces. However, railway tracks ahead are blocked by derailed trains and debris, forcing him to slow down in search of a clear route. Seeing an opportunity to escape, the remaining survivors prepare to make their move. But their plan is interrupted by Yong-suk, the self-serving executive who had previously condemned others to death for his own survival. Unlike the others, Yong-suk has managed to evade infection, but at a terrible cost. He has left a trail of betrayal behind him, sacrificing multiple people, including a train attendant, to protect himself. As the train grinds to a halt near an abandoned rail yard, Yong-suk, now desperate and disoriented, unknowingly seals his own fate. Seeking refuge in the engine car, he is attacked by an infected crew member. His screams echo through the train as he succumbs to the virus. At the same time, the remaining survivors, including Suk-woo, Suin, and Song-kyong, prepare to transfer to another train engine to continue their journey to Busan. However, the yard is crawling with zombies, forcing them into a desperate sprint. Yongguk, the young baseball player, attempts to protect Jin-hee, a girl he secretly harbored feelings for, but she is bitten in the chaos. Overcome with grief, he hesitates, and she turns, attacking him before he can escape. The conductor, in a final act of heroism, manages to get a working locomotive running. As he attempts to flee, he is tragically intercepted by the infected, leaving Suk-woo, Suin, and Song-kyong as the only survivors. They barely manage to board the moving train engine, but as they do, they find that Yong-suk, now fully transformed into a zombie, has made it onto the train as well. Suk-woo engages in a brutal struggle with the infected Yong-suk, fighting with every ounce of strength left in him. Despite his efforts, Yong-suk's relentless attacks prove overwhelming, and in a devastating turn, Suk-woo is bitten on the hand. Knowing that his time is running out, he desperately holds back his own transformation, ensuring that Suin and Song-kyong are safely secured in the train's front carriage. As the virus begins to take hold, Suk-woo shares a final, tearful moment with Suin. He instructs her to stay with Song-kyong and keep moving forward. Fighting against the infection consuming his body, he stumbles to the edge of the train. Memories of Suin's childhood flash through his mind. Her birth, her first steps, the moments he had neglected in his pursuit of work. With a faint, bittersweet smile, he lets himself fall from the moving train, ensuring that his daughter is safe. Now alone, Suin and Song-kyong continue the journey toward Busan. As the train nears the city outskirts, they encounter a tunnel leading to the quarantine zone. However, at the tunnel's entrance, a group of soldiers stands guard with their rifles raised, ready to shoot at anything suspicious. Unable to determine if the approaching figures are infected, they prepare to fire. In a heartbreaking moment, Suin begins to sing, a song she had prepared for her father's birthday, one she never got the chance to finish. Her trembling voice carries through the air, reaching the soldiers. Realizing that they are human, the military forces quickly lower their weapons and rush forward to secure them. As the tunnel swallows the last remnants of their harrowing journey, the sun rises over Busan. Though battered and grief-stricken, Suin and Song Kyung have survived, carrying with them the memories of those they lost and the hope of a new beginning.